the heck are you, everybody? I am Fastidious, and a big, warm welcome to my new friend, Croyson. How are you doing today, sir?
Thank you for having me here, sir. And it's a pleasure to meet you for the first time and to be here to talk about a thing that is going to change the game.
I think it might change the game, and thank you again for joining us. So I think everyone knows Lord Entertainer Fabian is the live fusion right now. I think everyone's heard he's good. But I think at least on my channel, we haven't made enough of a fuss about exactly why he's good and how freaking good he actually is. So for anyone who doesn't know you, I stumbled upon one of your shorts where Rhodos attacked you 10 million times in a row, and I started watching your streams right after. Everyone should definitely go check out the channel, link in the description and the top pinned comment. But essentially, you are a top crazy high-end live arena player. Actually, the account you drive right now is number 3 in the whole freaking game. So we know, Croyson, you know your stuff. And someone mentioned it in your chat, and you started going off about Fabian, and I was like, I love your energy about this guy. I got to get you on the channel to have a chat about him. So here's the account you drive, Doc Morrow. Amazing stuff. Yeah. Right before we started filming, you were on Live Arena streaming, and you beat Big Papa Drath. So that was really fun. So I figure let's head here into the fusion. Let's click on Fabian. Let me hand it over to you. It doesn't even have to be too long, but let's just talk about why this guy actually is so good and why the people saying he's potentially a skip are crazy.
Yeah, if you skip this fusion, you're gonna regret it. It doesn't need to be a long future. A few weeks, you're gonna already regret it. Basically, we're gonna see this champion probably in every battle on Arena after the fusion is close to the end, when people are starting to fuse him. Because his kit is one of the best kits in the game to be disruptive to the enemy team. He's like a mix between Yumeko and Amarius in the way you remove the buffs. So his A3 is basically a force of nature. His A3, the Spectral Flourish, is going to have the chance of taking 3 turns of every buff on the enemy team. So that said, you're starting the battle, the enemy team has shields, stone skins, everything else that you're going to have the chance of taking 3 turns away of that. And almost every buff that you have in the beginning of the game is not returns. The exception, I think, is really Necret only. Any other buff that is going to be there in the beginning of the match, and the intercept with 9 pieces of pinpoint, but that's not going to be removed anyway. Outside the Necret buffs, that can be higher number of turns than 3. If he's able to do it, if he has enough accuracy, he has the chance of totally removing all the debuffs on the enemy team. And that's only the first part of the skill. Yeah. The skill has 3 parts. So the first part, that removal, that is not a removal, it's a buff decrease duration. So you're not going to be polymorphed by that.
Yeah.
And that happens before the skill lands the damage. So doesn't matter the affinity for that.
It happens, it happens before the hit. I actually didn't know that.
Yeah.
It's actually better than people realize, because it can't trigger the sheep, huge. And you're like, why can't it just be reduce them by all the way? Why can't it be a strip? I think you outlined it perfectly. For 99.9% of content, that's what it is. 3 turns is 3 turns, right? Even if they've got the lasting gifts or whatever, for almost any situation, it's going to be everything.
The only bad thing is Stone Skin has only 50% of chance of being removed. So it's going to be a 50-50 on Stone Skins, but that's already huge. And that, like I said, that's the first part of one of his skills. There is more. Because the same skill that's going to remove the buffs, when landing the hit, has a chance of reducing increasing the cooldown of every skill of the enemy team by 3 turns. That's how he's close to Yumeko. This one is going to be affected by affinity, this part, because it's doing this effect when he lands the hit. So if it's a weak hit, he won't decrease the cooldown increase the cooldown of enemy skills. But it's also a really good possibility to remove the buffs and decrease the duration of the buffs and increasing the cooldown of the skills on the same skill is something no other champion can do that easily.
Am I correct in thinking that's like strictly unique in the game to essentially have a full cooldown reset and a full strip? Does anyone else do that?
is not unique. There is a mythical that does it, Crixia.
A myth. Okay, so there's a myth. There's a Crixia.
Yeah.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
So, but Crixia, he removes the buffs. She does not decrease the cooldown on the skill. So she's able to polymorph. And she does that in the same hit. So if it's a weak hit, she does nothing. She neither removes, neither takes away the cooldown of the champion.
Yeah, it's kind of a crazy way. There's one alternative, and it's a mythical, never going to be a free fusion. And actually, in a couple aspects you just talked about, he might be better because it actually
Way better.
Way better.
There's a third part of the skill. We're not over yet with that skill.
We still have to get to it. I just want to point out one thing that people might not realize. I'm sure, of course, you have, Croisen, but you're resetting the cooldown and you're removing the buffs. So now they're all on some kind of cooldown and they don't have buffs. By the time their cooldowns are down and they place new buffs, he's going to be ready to do it all over again.
Yeah. and if you're able to fully remove and fully strip, you're going to have an extra turn. So your cooldown is going to be even faster than your enemies to get their skills back.
Yeah.
So the rotation of this champion, if everything goes fine, it's going to eternal lock the enemy team skill-wise and buff-wise. Your enemy is not going to be able to do a thing. So this fusion, just by that skill, is Arman's level of disruption. He's able to end the enemy chance of winning in one skill in the beginning of the match. And that, if it works, it's going to be a lost case. If you're totally locked and totally removed, probably you're going to lose the fight.
I think for a lot of new players, when I joined the game, I had friends and viewers that came over. I know Raid's always making their big marketing pushes, so there's got to be a lot of new players, people doing their free-to-play challenge accounts, this, that, and the other. This might be their first taste, unless they've gone up against a God mode Armans. This might be their first taste of rage quitting to like a new level, I think.
Yeah, this champion is godlike. He's in the top tiers of anything, and we just talked about one of his skills.
Yeah.
He has a passive and two more skills that everything on his kit is useful. He has a speed aura.
Yeah, crazy.
Really good for a champion. 19%, not crazy, but useful. If you don't have speed auras, he can be. He's immune to almost every CC, but cheap with the passive. At the beginning of his turn, he's not immune, but in the beginning of his turn, he's going to remove. So if he's freezed, he's not going to have the damage totally going to go on him. He has the good part of being freezed, the good part of being petrified, but when he's going to lose his turn, he's going to cleanse. That's actually amazing. And this passive has a second part. Everybody that's revived is going to get automatically a True Fear put on their heads.
The crazy thing also, 2 turns True Fear, right? So it's like, for where I'm at in Arena and like Gold 3, not the most interesting place, it's just a swarming sea of Wukong promo codes. And all of a sudden, the RNG that's going to come in every time a Wukong pops back up and you got 2 turns of True Fear, that is going to be a huge headache for me as well as someone that uses Wukong.
Yeah, he's a natural counter to Wukong also because of that. His A2 is also really fabulous.
Let's talk about it.
So he is able to choose a champion that he's going to put the petrification in, instant petrification. So that's a new thing. I think we don't have many champions that are able to put petrification. And to choose a champion to put petrification, I think is probably the first champion to do it. The other ones do it by passive ways, like Arbaz. Mm-hmm. You attack her and you have the chance of being petrified. The Mitrala, you attack her with the Hags and you have the chance of being petrified. But with Fabian, it's an active move. You're going to choose someone to do that. And you're going to place True Fear in everybody else. And as a passive effect of that skill, if they are able to use a skill while they are under True Fear, he's going to make the A2 again on this champion and petrify them. So he is a massive crowd control champion. He is a lord in the name and in
practice.
Yeah, in practices.
It's kind of crazy, that passive effect, because it's just giving him opportunity after opportunity to be like, I feel like everything we talked about already, he's just this endless headache, and this takes it like it's on steroids all of a sudden.
He's the kind of champion that when people start fusing him, you're going to see him every battle in the arena, every battle. And he's a kind of champion that either you pick it or you ban it.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be very hard to deal with him most of the times. So you're gonna see these three champions, Armand, Fabian, and Marius, being like a dance. If someone on Live Arena picks Armand, the other one's going to pick Fabian and Marius. If someone pick Marius, the other one's going to pick Fabian and Armand. If someone pick Fabian, the other one's going to pick Armand and Marius. He's gonna see that many and many, many times.
It's like this endless triangle of very tight meta countering with those three guys.
Yeah. Because they are very effective in what they do, and they are all free. Fusions and challenge champions.
Totally.
So everybody's going to have them.
And yeah, you see, especially at my level, something I like to call the free-to-play all-stars. I always point it out on stream when I see it, when like all four characters were completely freely accessible one way or another. A login, a guaranteed from some event, some kind of fusion. So, you'll see a team that's like Arbiter Lead, Artok, Alice, and Syl the Drakes, or I'll put a couple random examples above my head. But now it looks like we're going to have a new thing that's going to be like the free-to-play Super All-Stars with this Marius, Lord Entertainer, Fabian, and Armand's trio. How about this with the A1 and the passive? Let me take that home because that's very geared towards people like me, I think, a little earlier in this game. The A1, it's simple, but it's great, right? It's a double hitter, which we like, can make it viable for extra pieces of content. You got the turn meter steal. It's on both hits, so it's 20% if you're getting both of them. And if it's a full depletion, it's a true fear. Still going to be usable for your world in very high competitive arena. Still a good A1. But for where I'm at, any form of crowd control, any form of turn meter manipulation, even for PvP stuff, is going to be amazing. We briefly touched on it, but increasing ally speed in all battles, that is a fairly rare aura when you start. It has been becoming a lot more popular lately. Of course, you get it with High Katun on day 30, but I think a lot of people, especially if you use a download link like mine or anyone's going out there, you already have a Tagoar or something like that. By the way, download link in the description, top pinned comment. But in that case, maybe High Katun, you don't want to force it into your teams. All of a sudden, you've got a Rockstar for PvE, and as we've said extensively here, PvP, and you've got your new aura for most content. So I think that is pretty dang special. Thank you so much, Croyson, for covering all this. It's really a pleasure to hear you. This is why I wanted you on the channel. Like when I was on your stream, it's like a pleasure to hear you so calmly, but so confidently be like, no, this guy's insane. Because I've just been hearing, no one's saying he's bad. I'm not trying to do a straw man argument here, but I feel like too many people are missing out on, there's 10 things here that make him the nightmare to end all nightmares, right? And, in all games I play, I said all the time in my other game, like I like someone that does a million things. Any final thoughts you got for us?
Do not skip this fusion.
Do not skip this fusion. And guys, like, this is why, anyone that's been watching my raid channel since we started 5 or 6 weeks ago, I love doing collabs. I feel like I've got a good strong hold on a lot of the game, but I missed a lot. And certainly I'm no expert like if I ever was one, but certainly I'm not now. Someone like you guys, trust the frickin' man. All right. Watch any of his streams. I couldn't recommend it more. I learned more watching your streams about Arena and Live Arena than I possibly could anywhere else. I mean, look at this. Number 3 in the god dang world. So if he's telling you, do not skip this, you'll regret it. I think we should take your word, right? Everyone will regret skipping this fusion.
Yeah.
So it might seem tough, guys. I didn't feel good yesterday pulling 5 sacreds just to get part of the way to a rare. I didn't feel good about it, but we had to do it. All right, guys, we had to do it. You won't regret it. Thank you so much, Croyson. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you for having me here, and it was a pleasure.
Absolutely. And one final reminder, link in the description for Croyson's channel and in the top and comment. Please check it out. It is a ton of fun. Thank you, sir. Thank you guys for watching. Do not skip Lord Entertainer Fabian. Please, guys, share with your mother, and we'll see you real soon. Bye.
Fastidious.